Ever thought drinking cactus water could save your life in a desert? Or that moss always points north? Welcome to Survival Myths Busted, where we take a hard look at some of the most popular survival myths and misconceptions that have been handed down through generations and even portrayed in movies and TV shows. We'll explore myths such as the idea of sucking venom out of a snake bite or the concept of eating snow for hydration. We'll also delve into the debate about whether building a shelter in a tree is a good idea or not. We'll use data analytics, expert insights, and practical advice to debunk these myths and set the record straight. So whether you're an outdoor enthusiast, a hiker, a camper, or just someone who likes to be prepared, this video is for you. Stay tuned as we dive into these myths and reveal the truth. Myth number 1. Drinking cactus water can save your life in a desert, but is it true? Let's dive right into it. You've probably seen it in movies or heard it from the old-timer survivalists. The idea is simple. You're stranded in the desert, dying of thirst, and the only source of water is the fleshy pulp of a nearby cactus. It's a tale as old as time, and it's entirely wrong. The truth is, not all cacti are created equal. While some species store water in their flesh, most desert cacti contain a highly concentrated solution that can cause severe diarrhea and vomiting if ingested. Not exactly the rehydration solution you were hoping for, right? The myth likely originates from observations of desert animals like the kangaroo rat surviving on cactus. But here's the catch. These animals have evolved to process the toxins in cactus pulp that our human bodies simply cannot handle. Now there's a particular cactus known as the barrel cactus, sometimes referred to as the compass barrel, due to its tendency to lean towards the south. This cactus does store drinkable water. However, accessing it is another challenge. You would need a machete or a similar tool to cut through the tough outer skin and spines, which isn't exactly standard equipment for those lost in the desert. But even then, drinking from a barrel cactus should be your absolute last resort. The water stored inside is bitter and full of alkaloids, substances that can cause nausea, vomiting, and even paralysis in large amounts. So what should you do if you find yourself parched in the desert? Your best bet is to stay put, find shade, and wait for rescue. If you're prepared, you might have a solar still or a transpiration bag to collect water. But cactus water? Leave that to the kangaroo rats. So remember, just because it's a cactus doesn't mean it's your water source. Myth number 2, moss always points north. It's a common belief, but how accurate is it? You might have heard this piece of wisdom from a friend, a survivalist show, or maybe even from an old book. The idea is that moss predominantly grows on the north side of trees and thus can be used as a natural compass when you're lost in the wilderness. But is this fact or just another myth waiting to be debunked? Let's dig into the origins of this belief. It's thought to have started because the north side of objects, including trees, often receives less sunlight. This can create a damper, cooler environment, which moss loves. So it's not entirely baseless. But here's where it gets tricky. Moss is not a compass. It's a plant. It grows wherever the conditions are right. Yes, that can often be the north side of a tree in certain regions, but it's not a hard and fast rule. Moss can grow on the south side of a tree, or all around it, especially in heavily shaded areas. It's more about light and moisture than magnetic north. In the northern hemisphere, the southern side of trees and rocks can receive more sunlight, which could make it too dry for moss to grow. But in dense forests or valleys, sunlight distribution can be more even, and moss can grow in any direction. In the southern hemisphere, it can be the opposite, with moss growing more on the southern side of trees. So the idea that moss always points north is more myth than fact. It's not a reliable way to determine direction. If you find yourself lost in the wilderness, relying on moss could lead you astray. Instead, use a reliable method, like a compass or celestial navigation. In survival situations, accurate information and practical skills are your best tools. Myths can be interesting, but they can also be misleading. So don't rely on moss to find your way. A good old compass still does the trick. Myth number 3, sucking venom from a snake bite can save your life. But can it? This is a classic survival myth, one that's been perpetuated by countless movies and television shows. The scene usually goes something like this. A brave hero gets bitten by a venomous snake. A companion quickly steps in to suck the venom out, saving the day. It's an image that's been ingrained in our collective consciousness, but the truth of the matter is far less glamorous. The fact is, trying to suck venom out of a snake bite is not only ineffective, but it can also cause more harm than good. Venom travels quickly through the lymphatic system, reaching the circulatory system within minutes. By the time you'd even begin to suck, the venom would already be on its way to the rest of your body. Furthermore, sucking on a snakebite can introduce bacteria from your mouth into the wound, potentially leading to infection. Plus, it can damage the tissue around the bite, which might increase the spread of venom. This myth likely originated from the misunderstanding of how venom works. Snake venom isn't like a poison that you ingest. It's a complex mix of proteins and enzymes that disrupts normal bodily functions. It can cause symptoms such as pain, swelling, nausea, and in severe cases, paralysis or death. The best course of action if you or someone else is bitten by a snake is to seek immediate medical attention. Keep the bitten area at or below heart level to slow the spread of venom. Don't apply a tourniquet, cut the wound, or try to suck the venom out. These methods can cause more harm and do nothing to remove the venom. Antivenom is the only effective treatment for a venomous snakebite, and it needs to be administered by a healthcare professional. Remember, not all snakes are venomous, but it's crucial to treat every snakebite as if it is until proven otherwise. So if you get bitten by a snake, seek immediate medical attention. No sucking involved. We've debunked some popular survival myths today. Let's quickly recap. We began with the myth that you can survive by drinking cactus water. Contrary to popular belief, not all cacti are a safe source of hydration. In fact, some can be downright dangerous, leading to a range of unpleasant symptoms like vomiting and diarrhea, which can make dehydration even worse. So it's not as simple as cutting open a cactus and taking a sip. Next, we tackled the belief that moss always points north. It's a fascinating tale, but unfortunately, it's not entirely accurate. Moss can grow on any side of a tree, depending on the conditions, so relying on moss for navigation could potentially lead you astray. We also discussed the Hollywood-inspired technique of sucking venom out of a snake bite. This is not only ineffective, but can also cause more harm than good. Snake venom spreads quickly through the lymphatic system, making it impossible to suck out. Plus, putting your mouth on a bite can introduce bacteria, leading to infection. We then debunked the myth of eating snow for hydration. While it might seem like a good idea, consuming snow in survival situations can lower your body temperature and lead to hypothermia. It's much safer to melt the snow first before drinking it. Lastly, we discussed the pros and cons of building a shelter in a tree. While it might protect you from ground-dwelling predators, it also comes with risks, like falling or the tree collapsing. In this journey, we've also debunked several other myths like drinking alcohol to keep warm, false survival teachings from TV shows, misconceptions about shelter water and frostbite. We hope that by debunking these survival myths, we've encouraged you to question and research before believing everything you hear or see. When it comes to survival, it's essential to have accurate information. Relying on myths can not only be ineffective, but also dangerous. So always seek out reliable sources when it comes to survival tips. Learn from experts, read trusted guides, and practice practical survival skills. Knowledge is power, especially in survival situations. In conclusion, survival is a complex and multifaceted subject. It requires a good understanding of nature, keen instincts, and practical skills. But most importantly, it requires the ability to differentiate between fact and fiction. So keep questioning, keep learning, and keep debunking those myths. Equip yourself with the truth because in the world of survival, facts are your most potent weapon. Remember, when it comes to survival, facts are your best weapon. Stay safe out there.